Welcome to Tucson Hotel, your ultimate home away from home. Located in the serene town of Owusu Bempah, just off the Jabin Road, we offer you a haven of comfort and luxury. Step into our fully air-conditioned 40 bedrooms, where modern elegance meets convenience. Whether you choose our normal, standard, deluxe standard, or executive rooms, each one is equipped with Wi-Fi and DSTV, ensuring that you stay connected and entertained throughout your stay. Indulge your taste buds at our exquisite bar and restaurant, where our skilled chefs prepare a wide range of culinary delight to satisfy every palate. From local delicacies to international favorites, we have something for everyone. Planning a business meeting or a special event? Look no further than our state-of-the-art conference hall. With a capacity to accommodate 80 to 100 people, it is the perfect venue for your corporate gatherings or social celebrations. But that's not all. We proudly boast the largest recreational center in the Owusu municipality. With a capacity to accommodate up to 2,000 people, it is the ideal location for concerts, weddings, and other grand events. It comes with 4 fully air-conditioned bedrooms and a kitchen as one package. Our luxury cars are also available for rent. Drive like a boss. To experience true hospitality and unmatched comfort, contact us today. Our friendly staff is ready to assist you. You can reach us at 0244 654 458, 0246 505 327, or 0241 418645. You can also email us at info@tucsonhotel@gmail.com. Tucson Hotel, your home away from home.
For peace, reggae that star, all star. I say, I thought you'd be about to bring us one my yen for some J. Then fan got to a beer. Now, yet, queen, my baby, I want my engine, no man, no. Them more yeah, man, I'm a Ghana, original pizza. Remember Liberia, 1990 and the unfortunate refugee crisis. Remember Somalia, where brethren and sisters are fighting over nonsense. Remember Nigeria, 1983 when our people were thrown over defense. We don't want to go back there, it makes no sense. No apology. I'm in sick, remember soon.
Elections, it no be war, you know. And politicians lie we before, no be today. So no matter who you they vote for, remember the children, the mothers and the babies, and think of peace, We stand for peace, we stand for love.
1212 Radio Culture.
For better Ghana, let's find our ways.
Yes, people, thank you very much for tuning in at this time. You are live with us on modernghana.com. You're also live with us on www.ghnewsnow.com. Machuna Radio, you can also find us, search Radio Culture.
Put down your knife and put down your Glock.
All that plus about 8 or so other platforms where we are live right now. All around the world.
All over the world and TikTok. Post for peace and post for love.
We're also live on Facebook and YouTube.
We want one love. We want peace.
And of course on our app, Radio Culture.
We want peace.
My name is Kwesi E. Baako. You can call me Jah Beloved. It's all right.
Where the fireman sing, peace is the ultimate.
mates, no debate. Better way to communicate, tolerate, cooperate.
As he said today, I'm operating as Kwesi Baako, but the tech team just decided to maintain beloved. It's all good.
Village and delegates, peace for my
Same and one.
that no bother sign no bloody contract, no bloody covenant. The umbrella and the elephant show be tolerant. Young dada preaching more love, don't be.
Today's show is brought to you by courtesy to Sand Hotel. And I'm just telling you right now, if you're traveling to Kumasi, stay on the outskirts and conduct your business in the city center. Stay at Sand Hotel. All right, let's cut straight to brass tacks today because we have a very short time. But again, we have just two interconnecting issues today. Let's go. Number one on the show today is, I titled it, Sammy Gyamfi must apologize to Opambour. Sammy Gyamfi must apologize to Opambour. But I feel like, people, before you take me on anything at all, I implore you to listen to the totality of today's show, okay? So that you don't misquote anything I'm saying, because it is important to piece everything I'm going to say together. But I'm going to start off with this one called Sammy Gyamfi must apologize to Opambour. Why must Sammy Gyamfi apologize to Opambour? I'll tell you in a minute.
Violence. Let me say some nigga crying ya woman and say no. When me pattern with you miss remo. As soon get some no me the bremo singing for peace and singing for love.
When I shake your voice, cafe no ya plan. Come on, ye, kono kaya to abla. Say me anwe, obake bono kakitan, akebo. And before we do all of that, let me start by saying a big thank you to all the artists that contributed their talent and their energies and their time and even their monies, because they paid for their own studio time, right? So let me say thank you very much to all the artists that did appear on the Stand for Peace project. There are 13 other artists, including myself, making 14, that came together to put out a peace message on the reggae rhythm, which is playing right now in the background. Let me say thank you to all of you, everybody, all of you, and your management also, right? Let me say a big thank you. We made it. We had a successful election, but we're still not too celebrating yet. We want to see a smooth change of government also. And then maybe that time we can sit down and drink some Ole Wano together, not true. The other topic that I'm going to talk about, which is my main topic, into which the previous topic will plug, is this. Does God choose our leaders? Does God choose our leaders?
The same differences make us stronger. Over here, over there, voices come by unit.
What do you think? First of all, I want this to be engaging, you know? I want this to be, it's not a lecture, it's a reasoning session, please.
Yes, brother,
and you have the choice to join in. Please go on our Facebook page
you don't really wanna die
or our YouTube channel and drop your comments.
You want to survive, you don't sacrifice.
We'll be very happy to hear from you, and we'll be happy to share it also.
Yes, for your tongue. Oh yes, they only come around when it
Does God choose our leaders?
to sacrifice yourselves. If I were you, my dear, I'll use my energy right. You're digging top girl vibes, so yeah. Ghana needs love. We need love. Kasakana kuka.
All right. Does God choose our leaders? Let's hear from somebody who should know. Reverend Mensa Otabel. Does God choose our leaders?
Something that is in line with what I was always thinking. Listen to him on this one.
Let's hear
For
Reverend
your
Otabel.
information, I don't believe God chooses leaders for countries. If God is the one who chooses leaders, he's been making a lot of mistakes. He's been making a lot, especially on our continent. We say, God, what kind of choices have you been making? God does not choose leaders for countries. God does not choose leaders for countries. He's not involved in the business. He's not in the leadership choosing process. It's a lazy way of thinking. It's a way of abdicating your responsibility and hoping that whatever comes, it is God's will. No, it is our will. It's the will of the people. If you are foolish, you make a foolish choice. Go on.
The man says, if you're foolish, you will make a foolish choice. And he says that God is not involved in the process of choosing our leaders. We will come back to that. What do you think? What do you think? First of all, not everybody believes in God, all right? So let's put that on the side. But for the vast majority, oh gosh, for the vast majority of us who do believe in God in one shape or form or the other, let's try to answer this question for ourselves. Does God choose our leaders? Does the election process have a spiritual element to it? Is it the case that when we set off to conduct elections, after all is said and done, everything that we're doing is just a waste of time because there is a spiritual element which supersedes and overrides everything? Is that the case? We will examine that a little more. The tone has been set for us by the man of God who says that God does not choose leaders, but we'll examine that a little more, right? With biblical. Share with biblical evidence. All right. And by the way, I spoke with a pastor, a reverend pastor, this morning for his angle also, just so I can compare notes with Reverend Notable before I actually come out and say what I have to say, because I don't think that what Reverend Notable is saying is representative of what every Christian thinks. It is a revolutionary idea that he put out there, but we'll examine that. Okay, before we do though, let's look at what I consider the smaller topic. Sammy Gyamfi must apologize to Opambour. Why do I say that? Before I tell you why he must apologize to Opambour, indulge me a little bit. Let's watch this video and I'll come back and tell you why.
We are batting to buffalo. We are jet to buff. Mokas on Yami, so Yami, you will be a woman. You will be a better money to me. Second of him, you are God. Me fear. You was 1 minute on some to the Yamano, but in Cossasa. Dear me, I better be from some mechanic yet to be in war. I do what she has for your couple. Oh, suddenly assassin now go. May not be with us. Oh, so I'm a many man was there. What's up for? Me, man. And matter for. And man was here. There was someone in Sherman, I don't know. Everyone was shutting my never. You have me that was it. Baba, me that was it. Okay, the other one, me that was it. And they made that so for me that was it. Oh, come up on the man for me that was it. Oh, yeah, dear, you're running me that was it. Showing me now. Oh, so down go bound. When I was shaking that, and when I was cancer, when you were in the watching so be no. And I was saying, what do you mean, mammy? I feel about Matthias here. We are so down go bound. When you were in the and watching so be no. And I was saying, when I was shaking that, I was concerned. Papa Obama said that here. Someone went home. So many men was here. Nobody. I said, be and what is mommy as a say. Young Baba in here. Young Cabin in here. About the end of that. We are the coffee. Me in my brother. That was it. Oh, but you know, my water to be job. The brother celebrate to Gyamfi. Clean wet seat. When your men is up. Me mean daddy because the fear daddy bet me to a baby me dad. When I'm so sad here. Everybody knows that. Baako crisis. Baako crisis. What you need upon? That was it. Everybody know. Make it know. If you now from it, everybody do many must say that. Many must say that, Papa. Any Papa yet over here. There's somebody now goes to Shaman with them. If somebody believe you now about for the amount, set down my quadrosol. Everybody come to Chile.
All right. Okay. So we all see this man crying, and for my international, listeners and viewers who don't know this person, I'll give you a very brief background. Ebenezer Adakwa-Yadom, aka Opambour, is one of the prophets, one of the men of God. And let me make this quick disclaimer here, right? On this show, I'll be using the terms man of God, prophet loosely. I will also be using it sarcastically from point to point. It is up to you to decipher where I'm being sarcastic and where I'm, let's do this together. Anyhow, so Prophet Ebenezer Adakwa-Yadom is one of the first people and one of the most prominent people, men of God, who stuck his neck out for John Mahama and the NDC, right? And he did so in a very hostile part of the country. Let's make that also known. Kumasi, until maybe just a week or so ago, was considered the stronghold of the NPP, right? It's an area where it wasn't easy to function easily with an NDC tag. Let's just say that. It wasn't easy for a man of God to endorse John Dramani Mahama and be appealing, so to speak, right? But this is one of the people who really stuck his neck out and said that John Mahama was going to win the election, and not just said that, also, he was there. Let's just say that. All right. Now I'm going to play you another video, and I'll play you a couple more videos before this show is over. But let's watch this next video, and I'll be back to tell you more. Watch this.
Miss Sammy Gyamfi. Miss Sammy Gyamfi. Unyame asafo. Yada munyina mose. Ena no pay de. Muhume wo ha enye bone. Say yenyina yenim ade sonko a onyankopon wayama NDC amanyuko. Praise the Lord. Yenyina yenim ade kasia onyankopon wayama Ghana. Na se uyo nipa na onyame ushirawa na wofo onyame asede dia na chese wo ye onipa boni ayofo eno nti enkunimdie ne baaye no e wose ye dia aseda manyame na ye dia aseda manyame a me Sammy Gyamfi in exasa da yede Benjamin afendi afiti ase but me kan wo makuma mu se baby e wo se yefiti ase da na se the great prophets praise the Lord. The great prophet Onyankopon Edina Chagana.
me say some get a cry and say no. Kwame pattern radio this remo. As soon as some no me the bremo singing for peace and singing for love.
Okay. So again, if you have not been following the politics of Ghana, still I won't anti the American say. Okay. So please walk with me. Stay with me. You understand exactly what I'm saying, right? First of all, Sammy Gyamfi recently visited the church of Reverend Owusu Bempah, right? Now, after preparing to go live on, and this show was supposed to have come a couple of days ago, mind you, okay, because we're in a recent thing. But who says still maybe the lessons have not been learned. So instead of preparing a new show, I decided to still come on with this show. Because yesterday was my birthday, right? So I decided to say, okay, let me stay off a little bit, get pampered by my family. Family said I shouldn't do anything, right? So I decided to not come on air as well. But Mehu said it is something that still needs to be explored. So instead of preparing a new show, I still decided to come on with this show. Sammy, check this out. Are you aware? You're not yet to Ghana. Well, if you're in Ghana, if you're not in Ghana, then it's different. But if you're in Ghana, we are all aware of who Reverend Owusu Bempah is. The same Reverend Owusu Bempah that, and this show is not to denigrate Reverend Owusu Bempah at all, please. Okay, so for whoever is ready to, and I know some of my friends are very connected with him. You know, the last time I had an interview with one of my guests, he threatened to walk off because I mentioned Reverend Owusu Bempah. I'm not denigrating the man. I'm just looking at the facts, and I'll try to do so as much as possible without being, you know, you're kind of saying insulting or anything like that. But let's face it, this is the same Owusu Bempah that tried to shake John Mohammed's hand the other day, and the NDC people would not let him. Why was that? We will explore all of that. Listen, Reverend Owusu Bempah, until how many months ago to the election, was he even saying anything about John Mahama? And I'm bringing this up. I don't want to put too much out. I want to be systematic so that everything that I'm saying will make sense. But I'm trying to draw your attention to the dichotomy here. This is Opambour, who has stood by John Mahama all this time from a hostile section of Ghana. Opambour is operating from Kumasi, where it is not sexy to tell people, say, John Mahama is going to win the election. Now, juxtapose that with Reverend Owusu Bempah, who, how many weeks before the election? Oh, the because I have a video clip for that. But this is the same manner. From those times, now NDC form person will be John Mahama and simple. I didn't try because this man had said, say, emoja, was John Mahama and Sahun. People are taking that thing for granted, though. So this is the same guy who said that John Mahama, all this nonsense that we are hearing about Atamil's death, that's where it's from. We have to examine the role of the men of God properly in our politics. That's where that nonsense is from. Koko Anidoho, at the delegation, Eko Akufo-Addo office, say onkonkoshishe, the edin baho say onkonkoshishe Atamil's a death mu. When that same Koko Anidoho had sat on an interview with Paul Adomotre and explained how the professor died, showing clearly that John Mahama couldn't have had nothing to do with it. But where did that come from? Because this guy, same Owusu Bempah, no, I need dealing, no. The same Owusu Bempah, yeah, you're kind of saying, Sammy Gyamfi, sorry, Ekase. I was say Obeda Nyamia say a startifini hono. Right? The same person had said this. Watch this.
We had said Mahama has stained himself so much that God says never. Mahama had the
Has God rejected President Mahama?
Oh yes.
Why? How?
Emoja on insang. Se Ghana for nim. No mo san ma John Mahama be president biema. Eni me be sisi Ghana no. Obi antimi ntra Ghana. Mo pa mo date nto. Esuma Ghana for ebe experience no. Any bra Ghana for be breno. Obi ntimi blame Nyankopon.
Obi ntimi blame Nyankopon. Do you see a constant here though? Does anybody is anybody seeing what I'm seeing? Same Poladomotry. Same Poladomotry. And I'm wondering yes, I'm no. Right? Same Poladomotry. And now Koko need the Hoso Koko Tinani show. So they thought that they were going to get something out of him about that. And same Poladomotry. But if a Poladomotry in Tunchen, he's probably somewhere in Compton, if I was saying UK or me, I'm in Kohoda. Or Shisha UK baby, me sure. On Tina London crowd, because he doesn't want to be visible. I'm sure he's probably chilling in his mansion somewhere over there. But you're fun in Tunchen, right? What I'm saying is this though. This same Reverend Owusu Bempah had said, say, Nyankopon akachire ni say, John Mahama ekum obi moja woni sa ho. Now, big question. Nyankopon ebema obi a wekum obi sa no. Ababeye the leader. Maybe. Okay, they will quote you David, who sent his friend or his, the woman that he wanted, sent the guy to the war front to die, and so he was God's beloved and whatnot. Hey, but let's look a little more closely, and let's look from a more, mundane point of view. Okay? Yes, when we have to bring in the whatever, biblical whatever to make the point, we will do so. But let's be mundane here. Okay, all right. So say John Mahama, wo Reverend Owusu Bempah, osi wakwa kokunipa. Onu ne kwata mills. Moja wani sango. You see the seriousness with which he was saying what he was saying. Say, hey, see, nina se man aseme. So whatever would have happened would have been worse than what happened under Akufo-Addo, where 8 people were killed during elections, another 4 during the next one, which was even a much relatively peaceful one. All the people that were abducted and kidnapped and all they're kind of saying, oh, and John Mahama, please, when you take over, please free Gregory Afoko. Gregory Afoko, first thing, first week, first day, please, John Mahama, free Gregory Afoko. He hasn't done nothing. A court of law has ruled that he should be out on bail. Akufo-Addo is keeping him in jail for how many years? Almost 8 years now. Please, John Mahama, free Gregory Afoko. Please. If you can. I don't know how it works over there. If you can write some edict or whatever. Or if not, whatever your attorney general, whoever you put in place as attorney general, first thing, let them free that gentleman. Please. Free Gregory Afoko. That said, let's go back on topic. Owusu Bempah kroya, say John Mahama kunipa. Or no kroya. Eka so many things against John Mahama. Apart from that, Onwa Kroya was also praising Akufo-Addo all the way until he went to go do his nonsense and was arrested with that thing he had with Agrada and all of that. Okay? And she say, Sammy, she say I was starting cozy up to you kind of saying Owusu Bempah. Setina Owusu Bempah sanko kwatwe sekan na to Agrada so a na odi person de be for so oh nim Sammy Gyamfi o. What how are you going to do it over there? Obama man na yejuma. And man yejuma there. Then he go vex with you just like he vexed with Akufo-Addo because he was arrested for doing nya. So be careful. And that's the point I'm trying to make with this show. Politicians and how you are causing up with the men of God. No, be careful. It's dangerous. But before we continue, let's hear what this guy had to say to Sammy Gyamfi. Disclaimer, I do not approve of his language and I don't agree with everything he's saying. But I'll have the opportunity to zero in on the things that I don't agree with. However, he is making a point. Let's listen to this guy.
You are a big disgrace to NDC party. And Sammy Gyamfi, Bempah Owusu, and Owusu Bempah, then come and mem you. In any case, say Mahama, Ninkunim Diana Odieno, a spiritual, And I say I come share any man needing kunim dia. Any Nigel Kwabena Gazi and I think ye asidano. And I say you recognizing and I raff one thing I make because Nigel Gazi there okay from 2017 or started the second coming of Mahama was him. No Owusu Bempah say Mahama and Sawo Moja. Now okay, ma, me say bisa end this for question be mo. Sammy Gyamfi, you are a disgrace to your party. You are a big disgrace to NDC party. And Sammy Gyamfi, do baby I say usua nyansa. Ye be kan okwe na chiro. Hwe NDC winning ye. Se nka wonim nyansa, na nka wo pa asofo bi akọ mo a. E ka na Jogezi, na se nka mudi ka akọ no. Asa na mako Owusu Bempah. Hwe eti me ba o Sammy Gyamfi. Udi mirika ko Owusu Bempah a ukoye dede a ukoda nasi. Bibi sa o Owusu Bempah kura be ka che se Mahama de ku atamils. Enensa wo moja. Nyankopon be fa ne ko ba bia. Enoch nkoa ne de ne ko na nyame yi kire ne se Mahama ene ku Professor Mills. Ntenu so yanyini ana. Enu so yanyini ana. Me I don't think say I obi nkom hye na am but Owusu Bempah ye nipa bia. Oye smart. O tietie nkofo ano. Eno no ahwe ba bia de ne ko a. Because Owusu Bempah be ka kire se Mahama onye president bi. Enso ne Mahama ono ahwe nimguase a na eba na. Nimguase na eba because Owusu Bempah okoje 2 billion cedis Baumia o 2 billion cedis Baumia e de man no say obompai wo be ka June mu Owusu Bempah kura e be ka che say o ma ko se anwea 16 regions ni now rap say okay 16 regions ni now o ma ko se anwea na o ma ko se no e no mo de bompai ama obi ama nipa na be president e no Owusu Bempah say obi sorry a onsua ni mistake. So sorry na or can obi mistake. Owusu Bempah kura be ka che say free SHS ni dey. Na na do avoid mapa. Later no be ka che say free SHS. Na na do onye.
Mutie, like I said, I don't agree with everything he said. First of all, I don't like the kind of language that he used on Sammy Gyamfi, right? I don't sign on to that. I think Sammy Gyamfi is a brilliant young man. He's one of the people that give me hope for the future of Ghana. Such a brilliant young man. He's an amazing young person, right? But we all make mistakes. And sometimes when we make mistakes, we should not be too proud to accept, say, a mistake and relocate. Okay? And to Sammy, please, I hope so whatever we say, if it gets to your doors or your corridors, I know you are all the way over there. It takes a while for things to get to you. If ever this, what we're saying, travels to your ears, give it a good consideration, okay? Because, and I'll come to that. But let me first finish my disclaimer. I don't sign on to everything he's saying. I don't think so with Jimmy and all of that at all. Far from that. I think he's a brilliant young person. I think Ghana owes him a debt of gratitude for lending his services to rescuing the country and all of that. But that said, like I said, Sammy, again, I'm not a politician. I'm not I'm a communications major, all right, but I don't have the kind of experience in terms of organization, right? Organizing people to do things and all. I don't even come close. I don't have that experience, period. So I could not possibly advise you on your duties, right? However, Fadiamebe Kano as say from the receiving end, okay, this is not an expert advising you. This is an expert from the receiving end telling you from the other end. So just listen closely, Sammy. We all know, say, and I want to hammer on this point that this young man just made, okay? Say, same Reverend Owusu Bempah, but 6 or so months, 3, 4, 5 months, I don't know, before the elections, said to my actual hearing also, say, what caught round, you can't say, all the 16 regions of Ghana, akwako gada anwea. Na omo de anwea no eba beye bibi. And this is when Baumia went to go visit him. Right? And obviously, what he was saying is, the anwea ne ba beye bibi ama Baumia to become president. And he went further to say, A year you say elections when nipa na etwana. Now that's it. For that thing alone, he should be censured. I'm telling you, in one way or the other. Right? Say a year say nipa and etwa ba na. And then nipa na etwa ba. Why netwa ba? So we want to imply so when it gets to elections, there are some entities that come from somewhere to come do the voting. What does that mean? That means that the democracy it is nonsense. Because at the end of the day, even after he has told us, say moja will be in even after he has told us, so the same person who told us that Donald Trump was going to be president in 2020 has come back to tell us, say, Yankopon we and he said John Mahama is going to be president next. Something which was fucking obvious. That was no prophecy. It was so obvious. At that time, no, even did you guys hear about the NPP person was saying, say they did their poll somewhere in June and realized in June said they were going to lose. So what if this guy was privy to that poll? Hey, hello. What if he was privy to that poll? That being said, even without being privy to any poll, it was obvious that John Mahama was going to win this election. Unless something critically absurd was going to happen, like the Yakan is saying, electoral commission being left to have its own way. Then maybe we're going to have some awkward situation where some idiot was going to come and tell us, say, Bawumia had won the election against all the odds. How? People, let me tell you, even in 2020, Ghanaians were ousting Nana Akufo-Addo. That's how 8 people died. Even in 2020, he did not win that election. And was somebody another 4 years of showing us his backside. How on planet Earth was he going to win the election? Everybody knew John Mahama was going to win the election. Now, something nipa na kwa kese moja wa John Mahama sanho nipa ni say Bawumia be win election because of course Sanya e dia be ye normal man. And then all of a sudden, because MPP people start attacking him for whatever reason, he jumps on the John Mahama bandwagon. And now you, communications director for NDC, against the backdrop of somebody like Opambour, who was operating from Kumasi, a very hostile region. One candidate, no, JDM had gone to visit him in his church. He had endorsed JDM before this guy did. So what happened? How did you end up there to go and start giving praises in his church, Sammy? I don't get it. And now said the bread and the car, you know. Your friends, our friend who BB, I don't want to call him that name, but your friend who another name, I will remember it and I'll tell you. Bulgaria, I think that his name is Bulgaria or something like that. You heard him, and that guy, I seldom agree with him, but on this occasion, if you take the insults and everything out, he's spot on. Spot on. What I say? Because first of all, people like Nigel Gazy have been John Mahama. Often the that's a man of God be their tagina. Nigel Gazy, bam, near that. You couldn't go to Nigel Gazy's church to go and give a speech like this. Opambour, only the influence of Opambour on your victory in Kumasi, you may not know. Sammy, it was better you didn't go to church that Sunday. Now, it was because listen, hear this. When I was told that, and I didn't believe it. So I watched the video myself. I watched it a few more times. I watched it on different platforms to make sure that it's not, doctored or anything like that. Now I'm watching this and I'm like, Sammy Gyamfi. So let's imagine this critically. I actually saw part of the video where he was arriving. He went by himself. It wasn't the party. So it's really not the party's position. Okay. But that said, Sammy, you are the communications head of your party. You are the mouthpiece of the party. And to Sema, especially when you mention NDC in the phrase, it becomes official. And initially, my reaction was, the pastor, no. right? It's in past, I know that's we win election. I say, party ni nyankwa, sorry yet. And also munyankwa did that here, but on one kasa personally, and that on one kasa ni personal software us here. You can't fault him on that, right? What's wrong with that? Not a damn thing wrong with that. But then you mentioned NDCs. I mean, that makes it point. And then you went on to say, ufu say a Honda was started then Yakupon say, why? How? And again, so Okoho as say Reverend Owusu Bempah one kasa personal software. That's fine. But bibisa wo time a orcas emoja ewo John Mahama ensa ho no. And now so only John Mahama nam day and night a wunim say moja ni ensa ho no. What did that make you think about the man of God who's giving you a prophecy and I say a disclosure be a real? Is anybody understanding what I'm saying? Sammy Gyamfi only John Mahama nenam would say moja ni ensa ho. But prophet Bio said, man of God, we say moja one in sound. And akwaba 4 seconds after man say, oh, there be no cry or no crampo, Yanko Ponce na ho brasienti. Sasa no moment tremu ye or patre say, Yanko Ponce, a moja da so one in sound, but na ho brasienti or manabeye or my peniana. Let's get this guy to explain that. Because or the yin who say, oh, Yanko Ponce na ho brasienti. Now, it's okay. Obeti be a president. Fine, yate. But o person would say, Yankupon say, a moja na say one in Sahono. Still I one in Sahon, but na who brasienti. Yankupon jatum so onbeye man pinisa na o patre. And na say o patre say, like Reverend Kusibuatin, when hun ye and our kan ye no digari too much. And now they could die or something. And Charlie, let's get real here. Because we are giving these men of God too much leeway in our politics. And I'm trying to show you the direct link here. And Sammy Gyamfi, you have become a victim of that. Be careful how you cozy up with these so-called men of God. It will bite you in the bum. If they do their nonsense, they will try to fall back on you to defend them. They will embarrass you. Be careful. When John Mahama went to go see Reverend Adum Chedia, I was kind of very happy about that to a certain degree. Why? Because it was a wake-up call to the NDC for and say, okay, yeah, the people, they might receive you, but they say, Oshe Adum Chedia, a situation now, you don't really know who he was favoring, right? Do you? I don't. Maybe you do, but I don't. Be careful, that's all I'm saying. So Sammy Gyamfi sang over started, and I'm telling you, that's why I started this thing with playing that Opambour Einana Osuno. First of all, Opambour and make a reference to Sammy Gyamfi. Mention Sammy Gyamfi's name. Also on Kanya Miajene or Kanipa Jene. Opambour is or maybe was. Maybe he's no more upset with him, but Opambour was upset with Sammy Gyamfi. He said so. And I'm sure it has to do with more than he said. Because or share Ejuma Waye, or share his association with John Mahama, or share all these things. That's what share says Sammy Gyamfi, communications head of the National Democratic Congress. It do say Obama some sort of acknowledgement. No kwakujina obia until 6 months ago. No say okwakosi sanuya edakoye bi before bibi ama another candidate. Or no na sorry them na ukujina se ukwako dikain adanyamiasia. Bro, listen. Like I said, I'm not an expert in your field, right? It's a different type of communication over there. I'm not even on step one of that. You are a pro in what you do, but sometimes we sometimes we do things that we need to re-examine, and I think this is one of them. About Chopi, I'm finding some way to reconcile with Opambour. It is important. But you have seen one video. Let me see if there's another video to play on that. No, there's not. Okay. So basically, with that said, no, I'm going to segue into my major topic, which is, does God choose our leaders? Does God choose our leaders? Let me hear from you. Put your comments in the section. Let me hear what you think if God chooses our leaders. We'll be right back after this break.
Making healthy food choices are a daily challenge for most people. You see, the food you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. Introducing the Green Health Pharmacy and Functional Medicine Clinic that gets to the root cause of your disease. We present to you the True Green Foods brand that allows you to enjoy healthy food options without sacrificing the foods you love. True Green Foods have low-carb swallow options for fufu, banku, tuozafi, eba, kenke, amala, and semovita. Good tasting and supremely delicious without compromising blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, weight management goals, and all diseases that one may be battling with. They also have a low-carb replacement for oatmeal, grits, and cream of wheat, which are highly dense in carbohydrates. Check out Alta Oats, Beta Oats, Clean Oats, as well as Kajma Porridge and Cream of Lacca when you visit our shop. The breakfast options are not just delicious, but meet the standards of an anti-inflammatory diet. All True Green Foods are all diabetic friendly. Find Green Health Pharmacy in Woodbridge, Virginia, or call us on 703-670-3640. WhatsApp 571-300-5039. Find us on IG at Green Health Farm. There's no better way for a healthy lifestyle. Remember, your health is your wealth.
All right. We are back. Thank you very much for waiting while we were away. While we were playing the commercial. All right. So we're segueing into the part where we will try to examine the big question of the day. Does God choose our leaders? And Funky Tank Part 3 says, yes, the Most High choose our leaders. It's in the Holy Scriptures. So Funky Tank's Part 3 thinks that the Most High chooses our leaders. Thank you very much for contributing to the show, sir, or madam, I'm not sure. Thank you. Let me just say thank you. But let's examine that a little more. Does God choose our leaders? What does you and Funky Tank says it's in the Holy Bible, right? And I agree to a large degree, but let's also look deeper in the Holy Bible, right? Because if you look there, you realize that at a point in time, the people of Israel who were, and I'm talking about the Israel in the Bible, let's make that clear. All right, so these were their system of governance was theocracy, right? They looked up to God as their ruler, and they had the priests and everything who would serve their functions and everything. Now it got to a point where they decided that we need a king, and I'm telling you what's from the Bible, right? All right. So now they decided that we need a king like other nations. So they went to God and said, no, we want a king too. And God said, okay, if you want another king, if you want a king, fine. If you don't want me as kind of thing, it's all right. You can have a king. So, Funky Tank, let's come back to that. If you consider what I've just said, right? Does God choose the leaders? Because at that point, the people were like, no, God, we don't want even you yourself as boss anymore. We want a king. We want a human being to lead us like the other nations. And God said, okay, if you say so. Biblically speaking, okay, for those of you who have not read the Bible, and I know a lot of my audience may not have read the Bible or maybe have not even read that part of the Bible, so don't get confused. I'm just saying, this is a biblical account. According to the Bible, the people of Israel went to go ask God that they want a king just like the other nations. And God said, okay, if you do want a king, then go ahead, choose your king. So if you check that out, does that not imply that God does not choose our leaders? Does that not imply that God gives us the free will to choose our leaders? I'm just saying, and I'm interested in different angles also, right? Because I'm of the firm conviction that yes, if you are a spiritual person who believes in God in whatever form, you would believe that he or she, or however you describe the entity that you believe in as God, would have some impact, some you're kind of saying relevance in whatever happens in the world that he or she has created, in the world that we live in, whatever that we believe in as a supreme being that put us here. No, they couldn't have just dumped us here. They would definitely have some interest in what goes on here, right? But being as there are so many people, so many different countries, so many different forces, so many different interests within that country, does God choose our leaders for us in that instance? Or just like he gave us the power to choose between good and evil, he gives us the same power to choose your leaders, be they good or evil. Let's examine it properly. Let's watch this video one more time in case you missed it at the beginning of the show. This is Reverend Mensa Otabil answering the question for us whether God chooses our leaders or not. Let's watch this.
And for your information, I don't believe God chooses leaders for countries. If God is the one who chooses leaders, he's been making a lot of mistakes. He's been making a lot, especially on our continent. We say, God, what kind of choices have you been making? God does not choose leaders for countries. God does not choose leaders for countries. He's not involved in the business. He's not in the leadership choosing process. It's a lazy way of thinking. It's a way of abdicating your responsibility and hoping that whatever comes, it is God's will. No, it is our will. It's the will of the people. If you are foolish, you make a foolish choice.
He says, if you're foolish, you make a foolish choice. And I agree very much with Reverend Otabil, to be honest with you, because to just sit back and say, oh, it's a lazy way of thinking, to be honest with you. Because God could have struck all the Canaanites and lifted the people from Egypt and dumped them there in the twinkle of an eye, couldn't he? Almighty God, Abi. But he'll make them wander in the wilderness for what? 40 years. There must have been a reason for that. So in as much as I believe that, yes, God, in whichever form you see him, he, her, she, however you see God, I believe has an impact on how we choose or who we choose to lead us and all of that. But that said, though, I think that God can also aid the process to choose a bad leader for a purpose. Let's examine that. And this is why I was having a discussion with my brother, a couple of days ago, over the phone to Ghana and everything. And I was like, you know what? Everything is good for what it's good for. Everybody knows that's my mantra, right? Everything is good for what it is good for. Even Akufo-Addo, with all the bad things that are being said about him and everything, is good for what he is good for. Now, let me tell you what Akufo-Addo is good for. Akufo-Addo has given us a reason to reset our country. And while we're resetting, Mama Yesha Dan fa yeni and Tunchempania fa and normal beer and the Akufo-Addo fault crank Kamoni and resetting a preco. Like our attitudes. Our attitudes have nothing to do with Akufo-Addo. Ghana, for your attitudes to certain things, we're prone to bribery and corruption. We're prone to it. It's like we don't feel nothing wrong with it. Yeah, shut down fair, no can reset it. So Akufo-Addo has given us a reason to see a lot of things that are wrong with our country that needs fixing. So maybe God needed us to be aware of that. So God agreed for Akufo-Addo to be president. Maybe he helps to choose our leaders. Just maybe. Just maybe. Meaning, I'm not making a statement of fact, because when it comes to religion or whatever, I'm not an expert either. When it comes to spirituality, I think I'm an expert because I am a human being and I know what goes on within me, and I have a brain in my head and I have all the emotions that human beings are endowed with. So when I speak, I don't doubt how I feel. I doubt what I hear from the politicians until I can verify it. But I never question how I feel about anything. So while we are quoting from the Bible and looking at what the Bible says, let's also apply some little common sense to it. Okay? Yes, ebia na yampa say Nyankopon helps with the process. And no Reverend Notable say Nyampa, God has nothing to do with it. I disagree small because I think say God can still aid us to choose a bad leader to prove a point. Just like we've had with Akufo-Addo. Just like we've had with Akufo-Addo. Imagine we hadn't had Akufo-Addo. A lot of things would have been hard for Ghanaians to understand. Because we would have, politicians are the same. All politicians are the same. All politicians are the same. But politician Ben and the one who say, even when they are handing over, we are catching a big van full of gold. Oh my God. So we all know what we're talking about, don't we? Yeah? Does God choose our leaders? Let's watch this video and then we'll come back. And I'm still segueing back to your friend is saying Owusu Bempah, small, right? KSM, my big brother KSM, I want to respect very much. KSM, next time I come to Ghana, I'm coming to look for you. I think Sammy and you have a discussion that we haven't had. I've been wanting to meet you forever. For some reason, I haven't had a chance. Next time I'm in Ghana, I'm definitely making a point to go sit down with you. I want to speak with KSM on tape, and I want to speak with Kwesi Pratt on tape, and there are a few other people that I want to speak with because I want something documented from these men that I have high regard for. But let's watch this video from KSM speaking about Owusu Bempah, and we'll be right back to run the show up.
Let us think, folks. And one of the proponents of God choosing the leaders, Reverend Owusu Bempah. I'm holding all my fire because he has promised to be my guest on the KSM show one of these days, very, very, very soon. I'll be hosting him. And I'll just ask him straight up to explain to me and to you, all of you listeners, how does God make a statement and change his mind? Through Bempah, we had said, Muhammad has stained himself so much that God says, never, Muhammad.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that abrupt end. But yes, basically, KSM, I've been wanting to ask this man the same question. Please, I'm looking out for the day when he comes on your show so I can tune in and hear him answer that question too. And I think I've actually asked that question earlier, right? Obia emoja one in Sahono. And I think Nyankopon say, oh, it's all right, now he can be president. How does that work? Does God change his mind like that? Maybe he does. Because if God forgives her, that means he changes his mind, Abi. So yes, we can deal with that. But I still want the question answered for me. Is John Mahama still, because so Okunobia, I know they say intimate blottio. Yankopon bet me their channel, but it will still be there. We cannot go back and undo somebody that he has killed earlier, if he had killed anybody. So let's get Owusu Bempah to please answer that question for us. John Mahama, emoja no eda so won nsa ho ena Nyankopon de ache ne se enye hwe ombra no be di president ana se moja no eni ne nsa ho that the story has changed. What is it? What I want to know. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
standing for peace. Bring it up, sound, all stars. That's it. I touch you here, a battle brain as one my young for some gay. Young fan got to a be. Now, yet, queen, my baby, my engine, no man, no. The more yeah, man, I'm a Ghana, original pizza. We remember Liberia, 1990, and the unfortunate refugee crisis. Remember Somalia, where brethren and sisters are fighting over nonsense. Remember Nigeria, 1983, when our people were thrown over the fence. We don't want to go back there, it makes no sense. No apology, but I'm in it, maybe soon.
Elections, it no be war, you know. And politicians lie we before, no be today. So no matter who you they vote for, remember the children, the mothers and the babies, and think of peace, think of peace.
We stand for peace, we stand for love, united as one people. For better Ghana, let's find our ways. Standing for peace, you and I stand for peace. You and I stand for peace. You and I stand for peace. For better Ghana, gateway to Africa. Block. Just for a peace, now we go there rock. Put down your knife and put down your Glock. Do no politician's job, no. Block. Spread this love all over the world and TikTok. Post for peace and post for love. Chai mango many warrior. We want one love, we want peace. We want one love, we want peace. I want one love, we want peace. Just one love, we want peace.
Where the fireman sing. Peace is the ultimate, no debate. Better way to communicate, tolerate, cooperate with another immediate. Motivate, encourage, let one love dominate. Circulate among the privileged and delegates. Peace for my homeland, very important. No border sign, no bloody contract, no bloody covenant. The umbrella and the elephant show be tolerant. Young dada preaching moral, don't be ignorant.
Wake Mr. Soldier, wake policeman and civil society. Do it for peace, do it for harmony. Let's do it for fundamental human rights. Arise the youth of Mother Ghana. Arise the youth of Mother Ghana. Stand for justice, stand for love.
Fly the flag of Ghana higher.
Country over party, come make we unite people. Yes, indeed. Okay, now people, let's watch this short video again before we go. Still on the case of Reverend Owusu Bempah and, the connection with the men of God and the politicians and all of that. Let's examine it closely again. All right. Now, a lot of money is spent on preaching democracy. A lot of effort is made to have us believe that every vote counts and our vote counts and go vote and whatnot. In spite of all that, somebody is telling us, say, don't worry yourself. You can go vote all you want. Me, I can go around 16 regions and gather Anya and come and do something, and it will overshadow what you do. The government has to do something about that. Makasa same way there. And it's gone full circle and come back. I've said this before, said those things, they need to be checked. But instead of checking it, the politicians are fueling it. They are feeding into it. All of them, John Mahama included. But I understand that game. I understand that because the churches have a lot of people. Politicians, when they are campaigning, want to appeal to large blocks of people. Right? That's why when you have a big platform with lots of people and you are their friend, of course. So I understand the motive, the rationale behind John Mahama, behind Bawumia, behind whoever, trying to cozy up to people who have numbers. I get that. But look at the bigger picture. Look at the bigger picture though. What is going on? What are the potential fallouts after you win power? What's your association with these people going to be like? Me pese me kasapi, but some me and Nancy okay kasa Kwesi Sammy. What's her name? Agrada or whatever her name is. You know, I don't know why anybody takes what she says serious, crap. But you be funny, sir. Now I know some guy who used to work with her. No more yes, Sika, whatever thing no more, you know. And now he's causing up with NDC, doing all these things for NDC. When that issue blows up, when you want to go deal with Agrada for that, can you deal with this guy too? I'm just saying, be careful how you cozy up with these people, with anybody at all. And I thought NDC, you do a good job with that, because even with people who are trying to do skits for you, that's another thing that I was peeved about with you, Sammy Gyamfi, but they no better, because our guy now crash so. Anyways, right? And if you can tell somebody like that, if you can dissociate like that now, be careful how you associate with these so-called men of God and all of that. Let's be careful. I'm just saying, okay? All right. Now, let's listen to this clip. Short clip. We'll be rounding up the show very soon. Trust me. But let's check this out. This was a few months ago when I threw out that caution on this very show. Check it out. Let's start with you, Akufo-Addo. And I've given a hint about this. Akufo-Addo, Akwawe essay or Newo Muye BB, which involved people being killed, people dying for you to become president. I expect you to react to that. The office of Akufo-Addo, I expect you to react to that. Now, the NDC, anytime as I'm called for ever raise any issue concerning Professor Mills's death, I want this to be the response, because the NDC has responded to how Professor Mills died. Akufo-Addo should respond to how Gladys Asma died, because Owusu Bempah say onimbibi about it. And that's for you, Mr. Akufo-Addo, president, who will soon be no more president, Akufo-Addo. That's for you. I also want to address the civil service organizations. My good friend, Dr. Osai Kwapon and your people, all those people, you know, organizations, some of the improve democracy in the country. No, you are not doing a good job of it, because this guy is unraveling the work that you are doing. You are going around telling people that the best system of governance for us, no, is a democracy, where we all go to cast our votes and our votes are counted, and then the person or the group of people who have the number of the most number of votes, no, get elected to represent everybody else. And then after some time, we go back and we do the same thing. So this is what we have all signed on to as a nation. So this is how we elect our leaders. Here comes some guy who is saying, no, none of that matters. What matters is me, some half-baked literate, going and gathering sand from some places or going some runabout or something. Me, and I met you see my leader, amamo. And this young fan say, nipe bi edges are the two mutrima CSOs. Nature say, or moja to mu say, I didn't cry upon a mosi young conco voting and going, and whom here? And whom here? Because me co voting in nature, cry in nature, you know. Owusu Bempah, and the bet you see president, am I? And it's your duty to say something to this guy about those shenanigans, because he's working against the tenets of democracy. He's working against the work that's being done to promote democracy in a part of the world. And I won't single out any CSO. All the CSOs, I expect you to jump on this. You have to issue a statement to this guy. I also want to speak to Dampare But the kind of hint that in the course of the week, Dampare, this guy is threatening you. And one can now sign some edict say some prophecy be made confusion about the no. This is one of them. Act. Enough said for Dampare. I also want to speak to the Christian Council of Ghana. People, Christian Council already know at this time as we speak, you people shit your body. I won't lie to you. You already shit your body. People don't have faith in the Christian Council anymore. They don't believe anymore, say they are non-partisan. They don't believe anymore, say they are capable of being, you're kind of saying, a non-aligned arbiter. People don't have that anymore. But the very least you can do is to whip your people back in line. People like this, who's giving a bad name to that whole religion. Like I said, I know some really decent people, including some in my family, who carry the tag Reverend, and I know them. So when I see somebody who is carrying that tag, and going on in some way, it leaves a very bad taste in my mouth because I know. Say one shame here, I'm for because so I suffer. And so now yes, I need you are sharing seen recently video be me who Tibon cause for be best all those people in that room. I mean, Jimmy said 2/3 of them can write their names. And wakwa good time bim. And when you be Jimmy ni Baako bi abegina when you no crowd might say Nyankopon aka che and say Bawumia is going to be president. Why do you use the name of God like that? Where is the God of old who used to let people disappear?
Everything I'm more than Owusu
Yes, I did raise this issue several months ago, and we're back there. We have to look at it closely. Maybe God helps us to choose our leaders. I'll leave that question for you to answer as I wrap up, right? Maybe God chooses our leaders. Maybe he influences the choosing of our leaders. But there's one thing I know for sure. Nobody, no single person. And it's funny that I'm here dealing with this same thing again because just 2 or so shows ago, I was here dealing with this same thing with Captain Smart, who said that he was sleeping or he was whatever he was doing, and God appeared to him and told him to choose between Bawumia and Mahama. Why are we mystifying something that's supposed to be a simple process? Something that's supposed to be a mundane event, right? Write your name, get registered, go vote. We count the votes, the number of people who are more in favor of this person than the other win. So this person becomes the president. These people become the parliamentarians. They govern for this number of years, and then we go and do the same thing. Very simple and mundane process. How does that become this wild spiritual thing where people are conjuring say dwarfs or say entities to come and vote? Where they are traveling around Ghana to go gather sand. To do what? How is it that one person is taking on himself that power? So no one able to determine the whole destiny of the nation by going around to gather sand. It's possible for one person to determine the country, the destiny of the nation wrongly. Jean Mensah did it in 2020. She did it. She switched the results and took Ghana down this route for these 4 years that we've been in. So it's possible. But she did it for us to see. Yehuha will see here, no. But who they will show them now, catch say you can go around and go gather some sand, sand, as Nigerian man will say. Be sand. You can go gather sand. And with that sand, you can determine the destiny of the country. That is bullshit. I keep saying. Mokasa, you are belittling the very God that you are preaching on. Montia say. Because you are saying, say, Everything that God has said in the Bible about being a merciful God, about hearing the cry of his people, about when the people are suffering, they cry unto God and he hears their prayers, and all of that. No, Nyankopɔn wentie ni nyinaa, Nyankopɔn wentie pensioners. Omo ye enkokra ne mrewa omo esika Akufo-Addo ene eyi Bawumia ene Kenoforiata ene omo aka no omo ewia edi. God didn't listen to their prayer. God didn't listen to the prayer of all the millions of teeming youths who need jobs and who go to church every day to pray to God, to our Father who art in heaven, please give me a job. And then to all the mothers who are going through all the families of the 8 people that were shot dead, their prayers did not reach God's ears. But some guy went around Ghana and gathered Sansan. Some guy went around the 16 regions of Ghana to go gather Sansan. And that Sansan was going to determine, say, who our next leader. That is bullshit, people. Let's talk about this. And let's not just talk about it. Let's act on it. I've called out the CSOs to put out a statement about that. Because what they're doing is detrimental to the establishment of democracy. So at the end of the day, we'll be gather Sansan and all be determine elections now. Why should I go and vote? Why? It makes no sense. Because me a bomb to kumi na obi akwa gather Sansan e di ba omi aba president. Are we thinking? That's the same person we are. Okay, now this is where the whole thing, as I wrap up now, I'm segueing back to my initial topic there. They are wrapping it up nicely. Sorry, so, okay. This is why I was saying what I was saying, no. Okay, this same person, only about 6 months to the election, or so gada sansan, there, I'm about Umia, president, no. That's a BBAC. Now all of a sudden, or say, Afi Bahama and the Baba president, something which to me was so obvious. I don't call it a prophecy, I call it a prediction. It was so obvious that Mahama was going to be the president. Let me tell you something, people. From the very first day of Akufo-Addo's second term, it was obvious to me John Mahama was going to be the next president. Ask me why. Because he did not even lose that election. 4 different results were announced. What did I say? After Akufo-Addo's 1 term, Ghanaians were itching to push him out. Otherwise, President Brenda who said what term one after just 1 term, the next election now endorsement for the next 4 years. So now or pray. Now 8 people had to die before that could happen. So that's how I knew John Mahama was going to be the next president. It was obvious. Now, if you were back, say, when who say John Mahama is going to be president, now also just Sammy Gyamfi with Twitter no boom, Wakako Dinichi, Akujana, sorry them, say, or no, and I was a Obana, sorry them, better than as a first, when people like Opambour was there. Now, let me say this clearly. I am cautioning against the synergy between the politics and the religious. I am cautioning against that. I'm cautioning against the fact that certain self-styled people who may have numbers can cozy up with politicians and create embarrassments for them later on down the line. I'm cautioning against that also. But above all, what I'm saying is, even if we are considering the fact that because you want numbers, so you went to these places to go and cozy up to them to get your numbers, politicians. Now, that's a bunny say a necessary. Say you better acknowledge or more. Then acknowledge them properly. Go to Nigel Gaze's church first. Go to Opambour. Opambour sofo. Wo na ye ba wonchen wo Kumasi say ultimi je ya wo ema Kumasi phone na hu say then no course so ye hu ye numbers so ashande. Opambour be proud of himself. Other people will see say okay, but wo de wo kwako jina obi a just 6 months ago before the election no so kwako ji sansan de kwako ya de foforo ama wo opponent. Sorry, them I could say and they also started a show not say feed Sammy Gyamfi, you have heard. Respectfully. Many channel, but I speak to you with respect because you are a very intelligent person you carry yourself with grace, and I respect people like that. I respect youth because I've been, I've been there at that point, and even younger and everything, and I know, say, you don't like to be disregarded. So older people, if you want respect from youth, show them respect back, because when we are younger, no, those times when we start dreading things we don't understand, you couldn't tell we nothing, you understand. So we know to try to tell nobody nothing, you understand, unless we have to tell you something. And then as for that one, there, regardless whether you are old or young, we are going to tell you some. Learn that. In 7 or so minutes, I'll be bouncing out of the studio. Thank you very much for doing the listening and the watching if you're watching us. Did you see the video of that guy that went to go vandalize cars at Parliament? These are some of the things that happen. These are some of the things. Obipa on marking to Hodom. And then after this guy has been interviewed or sent to court or whatever, Muntias Obeka say, soon be and I say, God, and I say, be next one, say, Uncle this Anquas, I'm no market. And it is all as a result of the confluence between politics and religion. Let's learn that. So therefore, in summary, as I was saying, all right, so Sammy, please, as a party, find some way to work your way back to those people that you must properly acknowledge, okay? Because I think it's important for human relations. I think so. Also, to the bigger question of whether God chooses our leaders, I think that we've touched on that a fair bit. But let me also add this. I spoke to a family member of mine, right, who's a reverend, and I was interested in, again, like, as I said, I'm not approaching this thing from a religious point of view. I'm approaching this thing from a very mundane, very, very worldly, if you will, point of view. But at the same time, I wanted a clarification on Reverend Otable's statement about God does not choose our leaders, right? So I spoke with somebody that I respect a lot, of course, family member of mine who's a reverend, and he partially agreed, just like I did, and I do too. But of course, he also mentioned that no, God has a hand in choosing leaders, right? Because I don't think that God will create his world and just leave it to go on autopilot. I'm sure he would definitely have something to say in that. But I believe that God flows with what the people want. And I give the example. When the people of Israel went to go ask God, say, we want, and at this point I'm speaking biblically, so bear with me. But in the Bible, when the people of Israel went to go tell God that we want our own king, God didn't say no. He let them choose their own king. But if you check it out, he still had a hand in it, right? And that's what my brother told me. He said, yes, God gives you the freedom, just like he did right from birth. Once God created man, he gave man the freedom of choice, which is how come they got, according to the Bible, that is, which is how come they made a bad choice in the Garden of Eden to start with. So man has always had the power of choice. God put that in you from birth, from creation. So yes, God may have a hand in it, but God has given us the overall power to choose our own leaders. Even if the leaders are bad, God will let us choose those leaders. God let the people of Israel choose Saul when he preferred David. Later on, David came. God let us choose Akufo-Addo to make a point. So yes, God helps, or God has a hand in choosing our leaders, but I don't think God solely chooses our leaders for us without recourse to how we feel as a people, who we want to be our president and all of that, right? People wanted Akufo-Addo to be president. We thought he was going to be a great president. So God said, hey, here, go ahead, have him. And after 8 years, you've seen, said, sure. And God said, oh, okay, all right. You didn't want him, right? What's your answer? Or whatever it is, you want somebody else here. So in summary, to answer the question, does God choose our leaders? I don't have the entire picture. I don't have the answer. But if you ask me personally, I'll tell you that God has a hand. God may have a hand, depending, of course, on whether or not you believe in God and in what form or whatever. I think that people have different perceptions of God, of course. You know, they may even believe in God without realizing that they believe in God. Like, I'll tell you a little joke that who was this that told us it? One of my lecturers in Legon, I forget who. Was it Mr. Gatitego? I forget. But he was telling us a story about this learned guy who, you know, was like, he didn't believe in God or whatnot and whatnot. And then he went to one of these islands where, you know, the women don't put on clothes, whatever. They dress differently, let's just say. And then a whole lot of people, women, came out to meet him, welcome him to the island and whatnot. And he saw the array of women with their bare chests and wozos and everything. He was like, my God. And someone was like, yo, but I thought you didn't believe in God. And he was an atheist. Anyway, it's a joke, but you know, you get what I'm saying though. People even believe in God without realizing that they believe in God. But what I'm saying is that God may have a hand in choosing our leaders, but we ultimately make the choice. So when an Owusu Bempah or a Captain Smart or some agrada, any of those kind of people, when they show up and tell you that God has told them, whoever is going to tell them that it's a fucking lie. We choose the leaders. But when we pray to God, the way I believe we did this year, God responds and help us to make a good choice. But he does not sit somewhere and wait for somebody to go gather sansan to come and do some rituals before he will tell us who is going to be our leader. That is bullshit. And let's check that with Reverend Owusu Bempah. My name is Kwesi E, his son, Baako. I come in peace. I come not to please. I'll see you again. The week just started. If anything comes up, we'll be here with midweek editorial. If not, God willing, Saturday we'll be here with weekend editorial. Thank you for doing the listening. Thank you for doing the watching. God bless one. God bless all. I love Ghana, and so should you. And let me sign off by saying this. You don't have to live in Ghana to be Ghanaian. I hear all this nonsense where people are talking about, oh, they come home. Listen, man. Kwame Nkrumah had to go live somewhere for a little bit to go get some things to come liberate the country, all right? Every country has a population in the diaspora. We do too. So be grateful that you have a functional diaspora that's working for the good of Ghana and not some lame diaspora that's just sitting and not helping Ghana. God bless you. I love Ghana. Like I said, I love Africa. We will meet on the next show. One love. Today's show was brought to you by 2 Cent Hotel and True Green Foods.